everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Over the summer, we hosted our first quarterly release event and received amazing feedback. So this is a new Pendo tradition, a quarterly event to showcase what our R&D teams have been up to and spotlight how we're working with customers to evolve software experiences in this new age of AI. Over in the chat, you'll see opportunities to join betas, request demos, and engage directly with our team. So we invite you to ask questions and continue today's conversation over in our Pendo community. And with that, I'd like to introduce Todd Olsen, our CEO and co-founder, who'll dive into Pendo's autumn release.
Thank you, Tate, and hello, everyone. And I'm sure you've seen this chart pop up over the course of the last 3 years since ChatGPT exploded into the world. But I wanted to start here because it really sets the stage for the products we'll be launching today. And when I look at this chart, I find it completely staggering that twice as many people are using ChatGPT than just 7 months ago. That's more than 800 million people are now prompting and conversing with ChatGPT. That's more than Europe's entire population, and that's 1/10 of the world's population. That's amazing. Now, what does this mean? What this means is that user expectations for all of software are changing. See, people have gone from, and this is just like honestly over the last several decades, from, hey, we're trying to go from paper to some automated form that can, just digitize the software that we have, to, this software is kind of hard to use. It doesn't quite match the software we're using in our day-to-day life, to, wow, now I can just ask software to do work for me and it just gets done. See, as humans and as users, as we continue to innovate, as we continue to introduce new metaphors, it's constantly changing how our users are engaging and what they expect out of the technology that they work with a daily basis. Now, how do we adapt and respond? How do we as builders meet this changing need in our applications that we're delivering for our users? Now, the key in my mind is very, very simple. We need to focus on user success. If we go back to first principles and focus on helping each and individual user accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, that obviously leads to ultimate success. And here's the good news. This was the entire founding thesis of Pendo. This is actually our first website since our kind of first rebrand, first time we really used pink, kind of our modern logo. And Pendo's vision was, in this time and age, you need to focus on your user because their expectations have changed. So this has been our mission since we founded the company. And now we're evolving our platform to meet this new need, this new change, this new paradigm that now all of our users are experiencing. So today we're going to talk about how we have evolved our platform to ensure you can continue to drive user success in an AI world. Over the summer, we started introducing the need for more intelligent foundations, up-leveling our onboarding, product-led growth, team productivity. Now this release, our autumn release, is all about making those systems you use and understanding guide your users more intelligent. Now I want to start off by talking about agent analytics, which we first introduced during our summer release. For us, it's a key way we can address this changing expectation. It's expanding our platform to not just capture the points and clicks of traditional interfaces, but actually capturing the full conversations of these new agentic experiences. If you look at how we look at the world, the data we collect, it's really an evolution of what we've already collected. We have usage data, how people are clicking, touching, scrolling through applications, both web-based and mobile. You can actually watch users now with our replay product. You can see what people are actually doing. We're collecting sentiment data, real context about what people want, what they feel, Net Promoter Score, CSAT. And now we're capturing full conversations, people interacting with software, asking the software for doing certain things, and the software is responding in kind. And we can evaluate that to help understand user success. Now, when we first launched this back in summer, we got a lot of really positive feedback from the industry. This is just a very simple quote from Capgemini, which started to give us some early validation that this is an unmet need in the market and will be a critical step to broader AI adoption and ultimately success. Now also, since that summer release, we've had the pleasure to partner and collaborate with more than 70 companies. Many of you who are actually joining us today have been interacting with us, using the software. And that feedback has been critical to guide our roadmap as we move towards general release. Here's just a single amazing quote from one of our design partners, Christopher from Mosaic, a leading wealth management company. And look, I'll just cut through to like the key part of the quote, which he says, this feels like the Holy Grail. And it builds on all the additional insights that you've already delivered. And that's been our vision today. This isn't an about face or a pivot or a shift in our strategy. This is just building on the insights that we're already delivering and adding a new level of insight to help you manage, again, this changing time. Now today, we're really excited to share the newest innovation in agent analytics, frustration metrics. This is a really powerful parallel to our replay product, which gives you frustration indicators like rage clicks. Now we're introducing rage prompts, people getting frustrated interacting with the agent. We think this will be a standard with how agents are evaluated in the future. We're launching new hybrid dashboards so you can start to understand how people are interacting between traditional and agentic experiences. And then we're going to be releasing recommended prompts. Think of this as action. Okay, I understand how people are using my agents. Now I can suggest or recommend to the user how they can get the most value from that agent. That sort of solves this blank box problem where you sit down in front of this agent, ask you what you want to do, and you kind of start scratching your head as what should I do next? Now, I recently had the opportunity to sit down live with Pierce, who is the product leader who's guiding agent analytics in our New York office, and I'm excited to give you a sneak peek of what they're working on. Let's see it in action. Pierce, good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you, Todd. Thanks for coming up here.
Yeah, my pleasure. You know, it's been about a year since you joined the Pendo team, since the acquisition of the company you founded, Zelta AI, and you guys have been hard at work.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a great year. Yeah, it's been very, very exciting to work with, so many of our customers that have all these ambitious AI goals, and help them think through, how to go about that transformation. So
yeah, you're on in my mind, the front lines of sort of like talking to a lot of our customers and frankly, there's a lot of companies about their AI transition. I'd love to hear a little bit of what you've learned and how you're thinking about helping companies partner with them on that transition.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we found is some things have changed and some things have stayed the same, really. If we think about analyzing user behavior in our software products, we've gone from this world of thinking about clicks and page views and swipes and scrolls, and now we have all these new interfaces. We have chat, we have prompt, we even have autonomous agents, and it's this whole new problem space for us to think about, how to improve our products for users. And it's been very interesting kind of dig in on what that means and help our customers to transition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what's changed is like people's perception of product has fundamentally been disrupted since the drop of ChatGPT. I know a lot of us are like, wow, we can just ask software to do certain things, and it may or may not do it. Sometimes it hallucinates, but it's like it's a whole new paradigm, right?
Yeah, like it's kind of a double-edged sword, really. Like it's like on the one hand you have this great source of intel through a chat interface where users are just telling you every day what they want you to help them with. And then on the other hand, you have this adoption problem of like, for some people it's second nature, for others they hit this kind of blank chat screen and they don't know how to use it. So it's a cool place to be because that kind of struggle between those two things is something we hope to help with. So
awesome. Well, I know your team's been hard at work. So I'd love just to dive in and can I see it?
Yeah, absolutely. We're ready to demo. So I want to put us in let's put us in the shoes of Acme Travel here. So this is a corporate travel and expense management solution, and they've invested a lot in AI this year. So they've released this new AI assistant, of course, which helps you through natural language to book travel and find information on your bookings. So this is a feature that a lot of products in the market are coming out with, and they've invested a lot into this over the last year. And a couple of key questions are going to come up. First of all, is this better than the previous workflow we had?
Of course.
And then secondly, are users adopting it, right? And those are the two questions that Agent Analytics really helps you answer. So we can jump in now and kind of put ourselves in the shoes of this product manager for the AI assistant and think through how they might make decisions here to improve the product. So jumping over to Pendo, we can see that in the product section here we have this new tab, AI agents, and I'm in my agent report here for Acme Travel, and right off the bat here I'm getting a pulse on usage. So I can see that we've had 105 conversations over the last couple of months, 30 or so customers using the product, and decent retention. So 66% of the user base so far is coming back. Also, we see some frustration signals. So about 7% of the conversations have some form of frustration, or what we're calling rage here. And that's definitely something I'll want to look into. But this is retention looks okay, but really adoption here is nowhere near where we need it to be for the investment we put in this product.
Yeah, I guess my first question is, how does this compare to the traditional parts of my software? I got this new thing. Is this good? Is this bad? How does it compare?
I think that is the first key question you're going to want to answer. You're going to be like, okay, the numbers aren't great. Are we doing something worthwhile here? So we're going to jump over, because a unique part about Pendo is actually that we can allow you to compare those traditional SaaS workflows with your agent-led ones in one place. And jumping over to a funnel report here that we've set up. So this will be familiar to our Pendo users. We can actually take a look at what the experience was like on the previous flow. So this is how you booked a trip with Acme before our AI assistant. And right off the bat here, things don't look great.
Yeah, 10% conversion rate.
Yeah, 10% conversion, not great. 4 days to complete a booking. I mean, I don't think that's what I'd be using for my urgent travel booking if I was a customer. So if we scroll down, we can see what it looks like with our AI assistant. And right off the bat here, improvement, right? We got a low number, but clearly the people that are using this are having a better experience. We're down from 2 days to 8 hours, not perfect, but a big improvement. And crucially, 46% conversion. So 46% of the people that are coming in here are actually getting to the end.
That's awesome. Okay, so it's better.
Yeah, exactly. So there's something here. We didn't just make an investment in vain. We've actually made an improvement here to our product. And I think where my mind would go seeing this data is like, okay, something is working. Let's just try and drive adoption of those things that users actually find useful here, and just widen that pool of people.
Yeah, makes sense.
So if we jump back to our agent report, and we scroll down a bit here, you'll see that all the data in Agent Analytics organized into use cases. So this was whatever the user intent was when they came to AI Assistant, all aggregated up here with our data grouped into these buckets. And this is something that you will get day one from turning on Agent Analytics.
I don't need to configure this or type anything in or
magic. Exactly.
Nice.
We're used to some of these products, they look great in a demo, and then when you start using them, you have to go and tag a bunch of data. That is not how this works.
Yeah, so it's like instant value. So very cool. Very cool.
AI is doing the heavy lifting for you. So I can see here right off the bat that a few of these use cases look like they're actually performing pretty well. So the top three here, they have a bunch of users running these three, the book flights and access information, and they have positive retention rate. So 40% retention rate in the use case is actually pretty high. That means that 40% of people who book flights come back in and do it again.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep. So there's something here for product managers think, okay, we've found something that works. Now, if we look further, I can see that that actually not all the use cases have these great numbers. In fact, one jumps out here: view trip history with 20% of conversations showing rage. So that's alarming at first. If we dig in, we can actually take a look at the actual conversations here.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That is rage. Not helpful, doesn't make sense. Oh, wow, very, very interesting. It's so powerful to see the whole conversation.
Yes, exactly. And I have to admit that as the product manager for the AI system, I'm actually not too surprised to see this. So view trip history was something that we knew this was going to be something people wanted, but we didn't prioritize this in version 1 of the agent. However, after seeing this data, it is very clear this is something customers were interested in.
Yeah. Yeah, now since we're here and we're looking at this, and I'm curious, there's this balance. I mean, obviously so much power in seeing the conversations. Like when you're talking with customers, what are you hearing in terms of privacy or concerns around grabbing that sort of conversation?
Yeah, I mean, we've been proactive on that front. You know, it's a concern, of course. You know, a few things that you get with Pendo here. One is we're going to automatically mask any PII that comes in.
Cool. Oh, good.
We're going to permission this data set, so you've custom permissions on who can see these individual conversations.
So it sounds like it's designed with this point of view.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and you know, automated monitoring as well on that. So it's definitely an improvement, we'd say, on kind of on the more just manual download some data and look at it approach. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. So kind of thinking what I do next from this. So we have these 3 use cases that it's clear are working. And as a product manager who wants to focus, what my next step would be, okay, we know it does these 3 things well. Let's actually just go and make sure we communicate that to users and get them down those happy paths.
Like taking action from this data.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's something you can do from Pendo as well. So if we jump over to our guides product for a second here. So, you know, some of our customers will be familiar with guides from a traditional SaaS product standpoint. You can also use these for agents. So I've configured this up, I've set this up before. This is a box with some quick start options, which will look familiar. These were the 3 top use cases that we saw on the previous screen. These are the ones we know work. These are the ones we know users come back for. And what I'm actually going to do is just go and publish this straight to my agent, so that when somebody logs in, the first thing they see is something that we know works.
Wow.
To show you how that looks, if you push it to your product, you can now see it's in the chat window. This is an actual Pendo embedded guide here. This is not something we cooked up outside. And you know, boom! Without any engineering help, I have just as a product manager made a positive improvement that I know is going to get people value faster here.
Yeah, that's a great example of kind of going from data to insights to action. And it obviously just, I mean, looks very natively integrated into the product itself. So kind of solves that blank slate problem where I come in like, oh, what do I do next? So yeah. Very, very cool.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, I think that's important because, you know, for the most part, what we've seen is that agents don't fail because the technology doesn't work. They usually fail because users don't know how to leverage them effectively. They don't know how to actually use them for what they're good at. And this is really what solves that problem.
Now, look, this is a great example, travel example, of course, of sort of customer-facing and user-facing apps. Like, how do you think about employee-facing agents? I mean, people are rolling out agents across their entire business. Does this apply to those types of agents or wells, or what? You know, how do you think about that?
Yeah, agent analytics, it works for agents you build or agents you buy. So we've gone through an example here of an agent that you've built, of course, but equally you could install agent analytics on something like ChatGPT or even more autonomous or domain-specific agent, and use these same tools to drive adoption.
Awesome, awesome. And you obviously come a long way, you and the team, of course. Like, what's next? Like, what's on the roadmap? I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked a little bit in this demo about showing frustration signals with customer interactions, and teased the rage prompts as a feature we have there. But what we've really heard from customers is like, okay, it's great to be able to see situations where our users are actually telling us that there's a problem, but how do we know when the user hasn't said anything? How do we know when the agent has failed in the background and no one noticed it? So that is where we're bringing in issue detection. And this is going to be an incredibly powerful feature. It's going to automatically monitor all your agent interactions, whether they're chat-based or not, find situations where it's failing, and then allow you as a product manager to prioritize by use case, by severity, number of customers impacted, and then even take the action direct from Pendo to add that to your backlog with a suggested fix.
Wow, so it feels like it'll become much more integrated into the overall development process for creating an agent.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where I expect the PMs that are using Pendo to live day to day, catching all these issues that are coming up.
Now you are a PM and you own a lot of the AI initiatives here at Pendo. Like, how are you using this yourself?
Yeah, I mean, so as you mentioned, we use agent analytics daily on a lot of our AI products, and what I try to tell PMs is the secret is to just think about monitoring and focusing. Those are the two key elements of working on an AI agent. And agent analytics helps you monitor, helps you find the use cases that are important to users and the ones that work. And then focus means just make sure it works for the things people care about and make sure your users know about it. And that's something we run by in Pendo, and it's something we're hoping our trying to help our customers to implement with this product.
That's awesome. Look, congratulations. You've come a really long way. It's really great to see the progress you've made. And I'm sure customers are really excited about getting their hands on this technology so they can start applying it on their own agent initiatives to understand what's working and what's not. And we look forward to the future. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was a great conversation. I'm really excited to get agent analytics into each and every one of your hands later this year. And oh, by the way, if you are building an agent now, we would love to partner with you on this journey, and you can start using agent analytics today to start getting feedback and start honing on your user needs. Now, just like you, we are evolving to meet your changing expectations. And starting in the summer release, we introduced kind of our first set of agents in Pendo to help meet this need. Now, we focused on our first take of this around automating certain aspects of jobs, product operations, data analysis, and even product management. But we realized that working on a junior set of agents that are taking off pieces of your job but lack certain context takes a lot of cognitive load. What we don't want is you to come into our product and have to scratch your head and saying, which agent do I need to use? Which tasks am I doing? And be quite honest, folks, these are very, very junior individuals at these roles. Think of them almost like toddlers. And I don't know about you, but managing a whole set of toddlers is pretty challenging. So we've taken a new approach, and rather than focus on building agents that automate parts of people's jobs, which, by the way, I think all of our jobs are evolving and changing, and specific roles and titles are blending, we want to actually focus on workflows. Workflows are what matter and really power our businesses. And we want to focus on where AI can automate and augment these workflows to deliver better outcomes. And for that, we're really excited about introducing Agent Mode. It's an entirely new way of interacting with Pendo. And the focus here is less of, hey, which agent do I do for which task, but rather a whole new way of interacting with Pendo. Now, when we talk about workflows, we wanted to focus our first workflow on one that was common in all of our organizations, yet was kind of tedious. And our first workflow we're calling Customer Finder, which I don't know about you, but how many times when we're going to build something, do we first have to identify a set of customers we want to speak with? We have to understand a good set of discovery questions. We have to then go set up those meetings and conversations. Folks, that is all busy work that just gets in the way of actually us getting on the phone with customers and getting that feedback. And what we're really excited about is we can apply AI to this problem. We can leverage the data and context we have in Pendo, and we can drive a lot of automation around this core workflow in your business. And to show it how it works, let's call in Neve Jones. She's in our Sheffield office to demonstrate how we're doing this today. Neve, how you doing?
Hey, Todd. Good to see you. How's it going?
Awesome. Great to see you. Thanks for coming into this. So look, I want to go back. I don't know, it was probably 6 or so months ago, we were whiteboarding in London and talking about some key workflows that we felt were good candidates to automate within Pendo, given the data we have. And I know your team's done a ton of work since then, talked to a lot of customers. I'd love to hear from you, like what you've narrowed in at, like where are you prioritizing, what are you hearing from customers, and where you've taken it since that conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. So since we met in London and started to look at, okay, if we're going to bring this agentic experience into Pendo, how are we going to do that? And how are we going to do that in a way that's most impactful? We started by asking, what are those core jobs to be done for product builders that are using Pendo today? We specifically looked towards jobs that are time-consuming, that are expert-heavy, but ultimately are rooted in Pendo data. And what we really wanted to do was amplify product teams, reduce the busy work, and act as a strategic thought partner. So through that, we explored many different ideas. As we were mapping out those distinct jobs to be done, we looked across the key workflows that are being completed inside of Pendo. We looked towards our data, specifically our usage data, and looked across funnels and paths of how, when core jobs to be done are being done in Pendo, what are those key areas that are being utilised. Then we looked at our feedback, and within those jobs to be done, where were some pain points or potentially raised, needing some learning or help and support to get those workflows done. From there, we use guide polls to then capture more research from our end target persona. So we look to do an initial survey all around how are customers using AI tooling today, and more critically, where are they exporting data from Pendo that then is being taken into those tools to either be analysed, be processed, be synthesised. On from there, we had a couple of key workflows really came to light. We looked at areas like discovery steps, product validation and prototyping, and then crafting scopes and product requirement documents. And all of this has led us through to determining some of the key workflows that we wanted to build with Agent Mode first, and that being inside of product discovery, expediting the time that is taken to go from I have a discovery goal through to I'm now on the phone with customers learning about their pain points.
Awesome. Well, let's see it. Can we see it?
Yeah, absolutely. And so excited to jump in and show you Agent Mode. So to invoke Agent Mode right here in Pendo, I'm going to first select the toggle here, and I will jump in to Agent Mode. At its heart, Agent Mode is an intelligent agent that can perform autonomous tasks for you. So you'll interact with it, and through conversation, the agent will form a plan, pull in the right tools, and produce results. So I'm just going to start with something simple here and ask Agent Mode, hey, how can you help me? And what we've heard from our customers is learning about how to use Pendo and all the different ways that Pendo can be used across the business can take a little bit of time to learn. And what I really like about just starting with this simple prompt is Agent Mode is going to come back and highlight to you all of those use cases. So here we can see Agent Mode can help us with usage analytics, with our discovery and outreach, with our guide performance, and even look towards things like our product engagement score, how our customers are being retained, and things like replay and friction. And here's another way that you can use Agent Mode, and that's our autonomous insights. So whilst I've been away, Pendo has been working for me. It's been looking across the data it knows I care about most, and it's been actively synthesizing that data to surface these insights right on screen for when I land in Agent Mode. So here an example. Agent Mode is telling me that dashboard traffic has fallen 22% over the last 3 weeks, erasing most of September's growth. This, to me, will send alarm bells that I need to jump in and better understand dashboard traffic. Why has it fallen? And really understand that data point that I may not have even been looking to check this time inside of Pendo. But today, what I'm going to do is jump in and imagine that you've asked me to look at adoption of the new accounts page. We've spent time investing in this area from an R&D point of view, and we want to know, is that paying off? So I'm simply going to come into Agent Mode and ask. I'm going to ask Agent Mode to summarize adoption of accounts, but I'm going to give it the specificity to say that I want this in a plain language exec summary with a visualization. And I'll hit go. Awesome. So Agent Mode is starting to return back to me my executive summary ready to send to you. And what I love about this is it's not just returning to me a number of how many users we saw using the accounts page. It's outlining this summary with identifying what engagement looks like, highlighting dips, talking about different growth and even reach. It's even going beyond that original prompt that I asked for by highlighting an opportunity area to jump in and to potentially improve adoption from there too. All inside of this summary, I am also given a visualization there that goes alongside that, which is ready to share. But I know, and what I can see now from the summary is that adoption hasn't grown. We've invested a lot in the accounts area and it's not paying off. So I know reporting this back to you, you're going to ask me why. And that's where the Customer Finder comes in. Here I'm going to use Customer Finder within agent mode to get a better understanding of why customers aren't adopting that new functionality inside of the accounts page. So I'm going to talk to the Customer Finder and learn about why adoption isn't increasing on accounts. And I'm going to do this through speaking to customers that have used the accounts page once but not since and have provided feedback. Crucially, our target persona for the accounts page is admins, so I'm going to specify that too. And here what we'll see is agent mode starts to decipher that request. It's looking across what the right pages are, features within the account. It's specifying here what's the right filter to apply to get to admins. And then it's looking across the feedback data I have inside of Pendo. It's combining all of these things together to give me the right list of target customers to speak to really understand why accounts page isn't being adopted in the right way. And now, based on my request, the Customer Finder has returned 100 customers that match that initial target. Here I can take a look through their amount of usage, I can look at the account names and visitors, I can prompt the Customer Finder to give me more details on this customer base, or I can take a next action. I can create a segment which I can use across the Pendo platform, but I'm happy with my list and I want to target these 100 customers. And I'm going to do this with a guide. By clicking Create Guide and selecting the app, we'll jump into our Guide AI Builder. And here, what Agent Mode has done has drafted a guide for recruitment. That's a single lightbox announcement guide, and it's understood the goal of my product discovery and the area of the product I'm interested in learning from. It's already created the segment for me within the right target area, and it's drafted the copy along with a call to action to schedule the call. I can jump in here and I can make even more granular changes to the guide or continue the conversation. So what we can see here is we've gone from an initial question about adoption to learning about and having a summarized output of what adoption of the accounts page looked like. But even going beyond that, we now have our next actions ready to go that are going to allow us to learn more about the accounts page and how we can improve adoption in this area.
Wow. Well, look, we saw a ton there, a ton. And what was really remarkable to me is in each of your questions, in each of the work, while Agent Mode took, obviously a few seconds to respond, and I was trying to think through in my head, if I wasn't using Agent Mode and I was trying to do that manually, like how much time that would have actually taken to ask someone a question, to create an executive summary, to go in. I mean, we're talking about taking really probably, would you agree, hours of work down to just a handful of seconds? Like that was pretty remarkable, wasn't it?
Totally, totally. And that's exactly what we've been hearing from our early design partners across this workflow, is that something that may have taken many, many hours to do is now down into minutes worth of work. And ultimately, it's taking away that busy work that does take all that time, so that our customers are now able to spend more time on the phone with their customers, running those discovery sessions rather than prepping for them.
Yeah. Now look, and I also noticed, of course, when you asked that first question of what agent mode can do, I mean, there's just a diverse set of use cases because, of course, we have a very broad platform. How are you making agent mode better? How are you measuring and improving it? I'd love to hear a little more about your process.
Yeah, absolutely. So we at Pendo benefit from being first customers of new innovations inside of Pendo. So we have agent analytics across our agent mode experience. And that's really helping us to understand the different use cases that our early users are coming in and using agent mode for. It's helping us to understand the types of prompts and the framing and the phrasing that's being used there. It's also allowing us to look at things like the success and the retention of those different use cases, which is really helping us to ensure that we're delivering the right experience for the initial workflows that we have built agent mode for. But it's also helping us to uncover where do we go next with some of those workflows too. On from that, we also have our feedback capture across the thumbs up, thumbs down, and a give feedback button. We have replay enabled. So all of this different data is coming into a central dashboard that we are all kind of meticulously checking to ensure that we're building an experience that's really helping to amplify product teams across the board.
Well, that's awesome. Well, look, already what we're seeing is going to have, I think, a tremendous impact on how customers experience our product, and certainly how they're going to be, automating and really streamlining a lot of these key workflows. So we're excited to see your team keep innovating. So flipping ahead to sort of what's next for agent mode, I think, one of the things that we know is, yes, we have a lot of Pendo users, we have folks coming in, but what about bringing an agent mode-like experience and/or Pendo data to other agents where people are interacting? And one of the exciting things that we're announcing as part of this release is access to Pendo's MCP server, which really, if you think about it, is extending agent mode to leading LLMs like Claude, as we see depicted here, or even Salesforce's Agentforce MCP, which we are also announcing support for. If you're a go-to-market individual leveraging Salesforce, interacting in that experience, and you can leverage Pendo data for understanding customer usage or understanding other adoption areas, that will also be available. So really, it's not just around augmenting our experience, it's also about how do we bring our data in context to other experience to help make those teams more effective in their tool of choice, which is really, really exciting. So with that, I know it's late in the day for you, Neve. I really appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me. See you soon.
Let's shift gears a little bit. One of the things that we have expectations around for AI is that can do hard work for us. It can automate things which are challenging. One of the key challenges we all have as a business is really understanding which customers are healthy, which are unhealthy, and why. Why are they unhealthy? So that way we can sort of, run plays, we can work on fixing the areas that are challenging. And what we realize is that we have amazing data in context on all of the various usage and qualitative data that when analyzed and applied to machine learning models correctly, it can actually make some really powerful recommendations and do work for you. And this was the thesis around our most recent acquisition, Forward.ai. Now, we announced Forward.ai at the tail end of our summer release. Now, since then, we've rebranded Forward as Pendo Predict. And we are really excited to talk more about Pendo Predict today. Now, what is Pendo Predict? Now, it starts with connecting all of your data sources from Pendo, of course, and from third-party data sources like your business intelligence tools, for example, your Snowflakes, your Databricks, things like that, CRM information like Salesforce and HubSpot. From there, we're leveraging AI to clean, normalize, and actually join your data, and then ultimately feed that into a predictive model in just a few clicks. Seriously, folks, it's like literally like a day or two away from a clean, organized machine learning model that's driving predictions for your business. You can actually see the model, point and click, and adjust it based on your knowledge of your business. Now, what's really powerful about Predict is that from there, it's completely autonomous. It's actually driving predictions and sending it across your organization, from Salesforce to Slack to guides within your CRM application. The vision is this is an autonomous agent working in the background, reviewing all of your data and driving predictions for use cases like, is this company healthy? Is it unhealthy? Is this lead good or not? So it's a really powerful way to drive automation and do work for you in your organization. And we recently rolled it out, and we're showing the chief customer officer of a large ed tech company, and we had this amazing quote: "This is better than chocolate." So look, folks, that's a pretty high bar. And when something's better than chocolate, we know that it's actually delivering really positive results. Now, we're using this ourselves, and I'm really excited to introduce Sneha, who leads customer experience here at Pendo, to talk about how she's leveraging Predict in her organization. Hey, Sneha, how are you doing?
Hi, Todd. I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks for joining me. Look, I think you're a really interesting person to kind of talk to the power of Predict. And you obviously lead customer experience now at Pendo, but prior to leading customer experience, you led a data science team who was really focused on supplying health scores and sort of information to help inform our customer experience team. So walk me through how this differs, how your team's putting it in action. I kind of love to understand why this matters and why this is sort of a leap forward for these teams.
Yeah, that's right. When I started at Pendo, I was a data scientist, and my first project actually was building our renewal probability score internally.
Exactly.
And so we used lots of usage data, lots of data from Salesforce. The score itself was actually really accurate. The problem was we're still a small company, and even at a company of our size, you're constantly releasing new products and new features, and you're also changing your sales processes. So anytime some of that data changes, then as a data team, you're sort of met with this problem of, oh, do we have to go back and retrain it, or do we think this is close enough? And retraining a model takes a long time. So it was a really resource-intensive process, and every year we would retrain it, and it would take an entire quarter to go search all the data, get the hypothesis, do the training, enable the teams all over again on what has changed. So I think that's the most exciting part of this product, is when we tried it with Predict, it took 2 to 3 days instead of a whole quarter. So
wow. So you're talking about going from a manual process that's a quarter in length to a handful of days.
That's right, with very comparable accuracy rates.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, let's see it.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's start out here. I mean, as a CS leader, my day starts out in Salesforce pretty much. And this gives me a pretty clear indicator of all of my accounts and their renewal health. And this comes from Predict, right? So Predict is looking at all of our product usage data, but also data from Salesforce and other sources. And it's using a machine learning algorithm to sort of classify if people are at critical risk or high risk. So when my CSMs use this, the biggest thing they get is the ability to prioritize their accounts. Because CSMs traditionally have really large books of business, and they have a hard time knowing where they should be spending their time. And the human time that they're spending is the important part, right? Because that's how they mitigate the churn or the risk that already exists. So
yeah, just a clarifying question. I mean, they're not logging in to Predict. I mean, this is just Salesforce, and it looks like it's natively, Predict data, because so that this is you're pumping this in, and this is all driven by it.
That's right. I mean, that's the tool that they live in. So we don't want them to keep bopping around between different tools. I want them to be able to see their book of business and act on it right in the tool that they're most likely to use.
Awesome.
Yeah, so let's maybe jump into an example here. We see advanced communications. They have a critical churn risk. If I was a CSM, I would want to jump in and see why that was happening, right? So let's click into advanced communications. Now, right away, you see a Pendo guide pop up here that says critical churn risk. The advantage of this is that anyone who logs into that account, if you log into that account, you're going to see this guide. The CSM logs in, they see this guide. So everyone is immediately aware of the status of this account right in Salesforce without having to log into Pendo.
Wow.
So it says critical churn risk, and it also says the product usage is the reason for this critical churn risk. Now, we'll see more about this later, but it also gives you a little bit of a playbook, right? Schedule a customer conversation, review the predict churn score for context. So useful information. Let's sort of look down and maybe let's go to the opportunity itself and see what's happening. So when I go into the opportunity, I see another guide pop up. Now, most of my CSMs and reps, they're acting within the opportunity for the most part. So that's where most of the critical information needs to go. We see another guide. This is just an embedded guide powered by Pendo. And you'll see the 3 sort of main reason codes. Seems like this customer is at risk because they have low product engagement and they have low feature adoption. So immediately that tells me, oh, that's the part that I need to tackle, right? And as a organization, we can align around what the playbook is. And in this case, we have some recommended next steps for the CSM on this account. Awesome. So that's really cool. And it says review the Pendo, the predict score trend, and you can sort of create a churn risk escalation, which is the risk record is how we manage all of our churn and risk within.
That's awesome. So this is great, and it feels like it's fully integrated into your team's workflows. Like, what are the results you're seeing? I guess, how do we think about the ultimate impact of this? Are you seeing any sort of benefits already?
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the biggest things is that it lets you look, the way we have it set up, we have predicting churns between 60 days and 180 days out of renewal. And traditionally on CS teams, and traditionally on our CS team historically, we were in firefighting mode, right? So usually CSMs have tons of accounts. They're looking at the accounts that are closest to renewal in terms of prioritization, and by the time a risk comes up, they're having a hard time knowing what to do about it because they wish they knew about it 6 months ago. So what this does is it allows them to proactively act on some of this risk in a higher order way, like sometimes in an automated way if it doesn't even require a CSM. So that's the biggest thing is I think we're touching more accounts with fewer capacity, with lower capacity.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, again, you have this like interesting role. You're using this as a user, but you're also on the front lines of working with our customers. And when you talk to customers, like how relevant it is to sort of the pain and some of the concerns you hear when you're engaging with customers day to day.
Yeah, look, I think any CS leader or anyone in my position will tell you that there's a resource constraint in this world, right? So what we did at Pendo a couple of quarters ago was we sort of made an org change to shift more of our resources up market where there's more complex accounts. So we want our CSM spending time on the complex, larger accounts, but what that leaves is a really large, long tail of smaller accounts that also may have risk, but we're not, we don't have humans on those accounts. So we knew this was a problem. We knew we needed some sort of tool to handle this, and very conveniently, we acquired a company. So awesome. We were able to put that into action. So what happened is we had we moved a lot of our commercial CSMs up into the enterprise. So we didn't really reduce our overall CS headcount. We just put them on more complex accounts and higher order problems. And I think every CS team, every CS leader that I've spoken to is sort of battling a similar question of how do I do that while also keeping my churn flat in these lower segments. Yep. And you can see, in Q3 and Q4 of last year, we didn't meet our churn target, candidly. And since making these adjustments, I think we've done a much better job of being able to tackle it. And with Predict, I think that's only going to be better. We'll have more visibility on churn, and we're not going to be spending as much time on risk identification, but more time on risk mitigation, which is a higher order problem and where I think our CSMs should be spending time.
Yeah, in reality, in a large book of business, you have to be hyper-focused on where you're going to prioritize your team's time, and especially as you're kind of shifting your team around to some of the needier, larger customers, and this makes total sense. That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining me. So I really appreciate it. So, what's next? Do we know what's next for Predict?
Yeah, some really cool stuff we're thinking about for Predict. So earlier in the guide, you saw that the recommended actions, those were all still fairly human actions, right? Research the account, go create a CRE. Now, the coolest part is that what we can do and what we're working on is integrating that back into Pendo. So from Salesforce, let's say you have a customer that is, has low product adoption because of a certain product or a certain reason, you can directly put them into an Orchestrate campaign.
Oh, wow.
And trigger, guides and emails, which you'll see examples of our product adoption guides and emails here that are in some of our Orchestrate campaigns. But directly being able to do that means you don't even need a human at all. You're using the product directly to intervene on churn, which I think any CS leader can appreciate the efficiency of that motion.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about this product is that it sounds like it can fire off different workflows and do real automation. And it is really more of an autonomous agent than it is, more
That's
interactive.
right.
So that's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
Awesome.
So we have the intelligence and we can do more with the intelligence, which has always been part of Pendo's promise, is not just having the insight, but being able to act on it, right?
Perfect. Well, look, thanks for joining me. I appreciate hearing
you.
about this, and we look forward to seeing all the impact it has in the business. So appreciate it.
Exciting. Thank you.
Cool. Wasn't that great? And honestly, weren't all three presenters great today? We had a chance to go live in 3 totally separate conversations, exploring a lot of the new technology and innovation as part of this autumn release. Now look, folks, we all have a choice. As I open this presentation, user expectations have changed. That's done. Now we can build in a vacuum and risk not getting the results that we sort of desire or expect or we read about, we hope for. And look, there are plenty of examples for that. We've read the studies and the doomsday articles where we know that AI in some instances is failing to meet its promise. Or we can choose to build alongside our users, to measure, to iterate, to adapt. And over time, I think if we continue to do this, sort of like we've done in the past, we will unlock the full value that we expect to see out of this amazing AI revolution. In Pendo, we're committed, just like we have in the past, to partnering and building alongside of you, and we're excited for you to engage with us. And it's not just us. You should also leverage each other. I think Pendo's community is one of our greatest assets. And it's a great asset because you can learn from what others are doing and you can share what you're doing so that others can benefit. This is such a changing time. It's so dynamic. The more we share, the more we get better. So I encourage you to join Pendo's community if you haven't already done so. We have a new hub where you can join user groups, discussion, virtual events. Honestly, there's something nearly every week where you can learn and share to continue growing in your professional journey. And if you can't make some of those events, we have some upcoming live events where you can actually interact in person with other users, whether it's Dreamforce in the Bay Area or the Product LATAM Summit in Mexico City. We have a Pandemonium X coming to London in November, and then last but not least, we're closing out the year in Brazil and Sao Paulo. All of these events are available online. Please check them out. We would love to see you in person. And if you can't make those events, we would love to join you here in Raleigh next year. Pandemonium 2026 is back in late March. Speaker submissions are now open. Customer award submissions are coming soon in late October. We love to hear what each and every one of you have been up to with Pendo, especially ones who have been interacting with this new technology and using some of these newer products. We're so excited to get your feedback and continue to iterate, again, alongside of you to make sure we're delivering on the outcomes you're expecting. I'll close with a story. One of the exciting stories in tech very, very recently, this is hot off the press, is Navan. Navan recently filed for their IPO. Congratulations to that team. But one of the interesting parts of that story is how they're supporting customers. They released a virtual assistant named Ava, who now fields over 150,000 support conversations monthly. It resolves more than half without human involvement. I mean, that's an amazing statistic. But what's even more amazing, that the company said that Ava matches their human agents on customer satisfaction ratings. So this is not just an efficiency play. This is actually delivering an equal customer experience. And that's awesome. This is going to help them continue to scale as they continue to grow as a business. And they've also expanded Ava. They introduced a new concierge, which uses real-time data and user travel patterns to suggest hyper-personalized hotel booking. So we're excited for Navan. They are obviously starting to see the rewards from AI, and I know that all of us can, as we continue to iterate, work alongside our users, and adapt to changing needs. So with that, thank you very much. We're excited to partner with you. Thanks for coming.